Hi, I'm George Maestri, and today we're going to take a look at how to do mortises and tenons in SketchUp. So this is a typical woodworking joint, and let's take a look at how to do this on this bed frame. So for this frame, if we look at it in X-ray view, you'll see that, well, all the parts are there. It's not really accurate because these joints here are really just butt-ended joints. There was really no mortise and tenon in the actual parts, so this is kind of just a mock-up. Now, if we wanted to use this to create plans or something, we'll actually have to draw the mortises and the tenons. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to turn off X-ray mode, and let's go ahead and focus on this footboard here. Now I'm going to go into my outliner, and you'll see that we have all of these posts here. If we want, we can select them here, or we can select them in the viewport. And in fact, I'm going to go ahead and select the headboard as well. And then I'm going to right-click over them and say hide. So I just want to get them out of the way. And I'm also going to go ahead and select these bed rails and hide them as well. So let's go ahead and just play with this footboard. Now, the first thing I want to do is go ahead and make the tenon. So I'm going to go ahead and double click on this component to open it up. And I'm going to create an offset. So I'm going to select the offset tool and just click in. And we're going to make this about 1/2 of an inch. So I'm going to type in 0.5, and that should be enough. Now, typically for a tenon, it's going to be a little bit in from the top and the bottom. So I'm going to use my tape measure tool. Click on that top edge there and just drag it down. And I'm going to drag this down about 4 inches, which is about that much there. And we're going to do the same on the bottom. Again, I'm going to drag this up, and we're going to drag it 4 inches. And what this does is it really just gives me guidelines along which I can draw. So I'm going to select my line tool, just draw 1 and 2 short lines, and then I can erase my guidelines and erase the extraneous edges. So there we go. So now I've got this face, which is positioned properly. And I'm going to go ahead and select that. And let's go ahead and pull that out about 2 inches. In fact, we're going to pull it out exactly 2 inches. So now that I have this, I need to place it on the other side. Now, the easiest way to do this is to simply copy and paste the geometry. So I'm going to double click on my component to go into it. And then I'm going to left click and drag to select that tenon. And then shift select the face that it is attached to. And then all I have to do is go copy and paste. And what this will do is it will paste that object or that copy into the scene. Now, obviously, this is facing the wrong way, but we can change that just by flipping it. So I'm going to right-click above it and do flip along red direction. And then all I have to do is place this properly. So I'm going to select my Move tool, get that bottom corner, and then snap it to the same corner on the footboard. So now I have tenons on both sides. So let's go ahead and work on the mortise for the posts. So I'm going to go ahead into my outliner and shift select all of these posts, right click, do unhide, and that's all of those. And then I'm actually going to do almost the exact same thing I did before, which is copy and paste geometry. So I'm actually going to go ahead and hide these for just one more little bit here. So I'm going to go ahead here, double click on this footboard one more time and just select this face and this face alone. And then I'm going to go edit, copy, and then I'm going to close this, and then I'm going to hide the footboard. Now, I still have the copy of that face in the buffer. So I'm going to go ahead and select all of the posts in the outliner and unhide them. So the post I need to work with is this one here. Now, these are all the same components. So one change to one will affect all of them. So I'm going to double click into this, and all I have to do is go Edit, Paste in Place. Now what it does is it pastes that face with its little hole in it right onto my post. Now all I have to do is use this to create the mortise. So before I do that though, you'll see that this is basically a hole here, and I need to close up that hole so I can push it in as a face. Now the easiest way to close this up is to double click on this to open up the component and just draw a line along one of those edges. And that will close it up. I can select this face now and I can push it in. And I'm going to push it in, say 2.25 inches, so 2¼ inches. And now once I've done that, you'll see that, well, this has happened to all of my components. And so all I have to do now is just delete this little extra detail here. So I'm going to go ahead and just remove these edges. And now, if I select my footboard and my headboard, right-click and do Unhide, you'll see that when I go into X-ray view, that my mortise and my tenon are coincident. So they actually fit. Now, one thing that doesn't work is that these two posts have the mortise on the outside. So I need to flip those around. So I'm going to select those, right-click over them, do flip along red direction. And that will go ahead and flip them so that they work. Now, the one thing we didn't do is we didn't create the tenon on the headboard. And we can do that very easily. So I'm going to go back out of X-ray view. And again, I'm just going to go ahead and select all of these posts, right-click, hide. And so what I need to do is copy this tenon over to this headboard. So I'm going to double-click on the footboard. And again, do almost the exact same thing I did before. I'm going to select the tenon itself, select the face around it, and then edit, copy. Now I'm going to double click on the headboard, go edit, paste, and now I can paste that in place. And if I do it right, I can snap corner to corner, and there we go. We've got one of the tenons on, and we can do the same. We can edit, do another paste, but this time this one is backwards. So again, we can right-click over it, flip along red direction, and then again use our move tool to snap that in place. Now this is almost complete, but we do have one little spare edge there that we need to get rid of, and that's easy enough to do with our eraser tool. So now I've got a headboard and a footboard that have tenons in the same place. If we select the posts and unhide them, they will also be in the same place. And we can also select the bed rails and unhide those. Now, if you want, as an exercise for yourself, you can go ahead and place tenons on the bed rails for yourself. But let's take one more look at this. If we go into X-ray, you'll see that all of our mortises and tenons line up perfectly, and we've got an accurate representation of the woodwork in this bed.